Good day everyone, my name is Jovelyn C. Kanya and today I will discuss the socio-emotional development of infants and toddlers. Learning outcomes. In this module, challenge yourself to describe the socio-emotional development of infants and toddlers. Identify factors that enhance or impede the socio-emotional and development of infants and toddlers. Parents, and abstract of others, or your own research related to the socio-emotional development of infants and toddlers, and draw implications of socio-emotional development concepts to childcare, education, and parenting. The formative years. It is the first 3 years in human development. Much has been said about the importance of the first 3 years in human development. They are so called the formative years, that is why parents and other caregivers at this stage of human development play a significant role in the development of infants and toddlers. As the poem Children Learn What They Live expresses the kind of home and school environment that parents and teachers produce and determines to a very great extent the quality of the development of children. It has elements. The first one is the attachment. For healthy socio-emotional development, the infant needs to establish an enduring emotional bond characterized by a tendency to seek and maintain closeness to a specific figure, particularly during stressful situations. The mother or the caregiver provides food and warmth. But for the purposes of attachment, what really matters is the sense of safety, comfort, and refuge the mother or the caregiver provides. According to Dr. John Bowley, the father of attachment theory, attachments occur within the first 6 months of baby's life. Kabantay mo, most of the babies is muhilak sila pag wala ilang mother or ilang caregiver, then dili na sila magpabutang. That's because they are starting to attach to their caregivers or mother, in which makabuild na sila og trust. It is also the key to a good start in the social development of the baby is a lot of responsive interaction with the baby, according to the K. Pasik and R. Golenkov 2003. Other relevant and interesting research findings cited by K. Pasik and R. Golenkov 2003 in the book Einstein Never Used Class Cards says that what is absolutely central to baby's emotional well-being is not so much feeding but a consistent involvement of a caregiver. Being fed by your mother is that what attach you to her. It is consistent, close nurturing that matters in early relationship. It also says that children who have good attachment relationships as infant make better adjustments in a number of areas in future life. Even when children are in childcare for more than 30 hours per week, parents, mother, and children are attached to parents even when the children are in childcare. Bisag maawi pa na ang usa ka bata sa iyang mama for more than 30 hours per week, dili jud mawa or dili jud mahitabo nga ang bata is dili na siya ma-attach sa iyang mama. Ka-imagine for 9 months ang bata is gidada na siya sa iyang mama at imposible ra kaayo nga sa 30 hours ra per week is kanang malayo na ang bata sa mama. Parents and caregivers help children regulate their emotions by working with them and by serving as their models. Next element is the temperament. It is a word that captures the way that people differ, even at birth, in such things as their emotional reactions, activity level, attention span, persistence, and ability to regulate their emotions. According to researchers Thomas Chess and Birch describe 9 different temperament categories. The first one is the activity level. Some are inactive, others are always on the go. Others baby trash a lot, and as toddlers are always on the move. At this stage, they must be watched carefully. So sa kini nga stage sa kabata is more on kiat ni sila. So as a caregiver or a mother, better nga imo jud bantayan ang bata para dili siya ma-disgrasya. Next is the mood. Some are cheerful, others are unhappy. Although securely attached emotionally to their teachers, others have a low-key mood and look more solemn or unhappy. Next is child's threshold for distress. Some babies are very sensitive. They become upset very easily when stressed. Other babies can more comfortably wait when they need a feeding or some attention. So no, kani nga mga bata is dali ra kay sila masuko, labi na og kanang kulang sila sa tulog. Dili jud nimo siya madali-dali og kanang magdula mo, then kanang dili siya kanang sa dula, dili jud na siya ganahan, then kanang kuan po dali na siya saputon. Labi na gigutom sila or kulang sa tulog. Next is the rhythmicity of children. Some babies get hungry or sleepy in a fairly regular and predictable basis. Some of the babies kanang bisag bago pagi sila nagmata, ikatadara matuna po sila. Kay mao jud na ang routine sa baby, kauntog, duwa, repeat. Tingala ra jud na sila. Next is the intensity of response in each day. Some respond with high energy. No? Nagiuban nga bata nga, o tawgo na to sila is, mo tingog din sila. Pero nasa uban nga bata nga, bisag kung saan na to og tingog, dili jud sila mo tingog. Ay bisag kung saan na to sila og tawag, dili jud sila mo tingog. Kay ilahapon na. Next is the approach to new situations. Some are fearful to new teachers. Yun yung malikayan sa usa ka kanang bata nga di siya mahatlok sa usa ka tao labi na og baguhay pa niya nga nakita. So once gani bago pa ta nakita sa ka bata, atong i-make sure nga kanang good atong pag-approach niya para sa sunod ninyo nga kita is dili na siya mahadlok sa inyo. Next is the distraction. Some can concentrate, others get easily distracted. Next is the adaptability of each child. Some react with new situation with distress but recover fairly rapidly, others just adjust for a long period of time. On this stage of baby's development, some of the babies are acceptable situations sa ilang experience. Some babies kahit dali ra sila ma-friend sa strangers or sa mga baguhay ra niyan la na kaila. But later on, maka-cope up ra sila labi na og permi ka nga naan niya og permi ka niya nga makita. The last one is the child's attention span. Some children have a long attention span. They continue with an activity for a fairly long time. No, naiuban nga mga bata is, for example, magdula mo. Naiuban nga kanang dali ra ka sila kapuyon or dali ra sila mapulan sa duwa or nasa uban nga kanang bisag pila pa na ka oras ug ganahan jud siya sa usa ka dulaan dili jud niya undangan og duwa. So next is based on these temperament traits, psychiatrists Alexander Thomas and Stella Chess studied baby's temperament into 3 basic types. These are the easy child. Easily, rapidly establishes regular routines, generally cheerful, and adapts readily to new experiences. So, mauna yung mga bata nga kanang easy to get ra, like bag-o pa mo nagkaila, kanang makigduwa na din siya nimo or kanang musalig na siya nimo. Next is the difficult child. Opposite to the traits of easy child, no, ang easy child is kanang kanang dali ra nimo ma-close. Ang kaning difficult child is kanang dugay nimo siya mahimong friends kay uta kahibaw naay bad experience ang bata ani sa una, like kanang gi-abuse siya sa usa ka tawo o gi-abuse siya sa caregiver, unang dili dayon siya mo salig dayon. Next is the slow to warm up child. In between the two mentioned traits, so ang easy child kay kanang ang kaning slow to warm up child kay usahay kanang dali ra siya makig friends, then usahay pud dugay murag depende bitaw sa taong ayang murag depende sa taong ayahang kaatubang ba ana. Next is the development of emotions. Early infancy, birth to 6 months. 6 to 10 weeks, a social smile emerges, usually accompanied by other pleasure indicative actions and sounds, including cawing and mouthing. So sa 6 to 10 weeks sa baby, after siya gipanganak, is kanang mag-smile-smile na siya, tan kanang kuan, usually accompanied by other pleasure indicative actions and sounds. Ang uban kay kanang magtabi kunuhay sila, pero kanang para nila is nagtabi sila, pero para nato is nagbuka-buka ra sila sa ilang baba. Next is the later infancy, 7 to 12 months. During the last half of the first year, infants begin expressing fear. So sa kini nga stage sa emotions sa usa ka infant is kanang maka-feel na sila og kahadlok, disgust, and anger because of the maturation of cognitive abilities. When we say cognitive abilities, maybe it is defined as a mental capability that involves the ability to reason, plan, solve problems, think abstractly, comprehend complex ideas, learn quickly, and learn from experience. According to Gottfredson, 1997, page 13. Next is the later infancy. Fear also emerges. No mo to mahadlok na ang sa kabata. Then, nani sila ay separation anxiety. Infant 7 to 12 months old may cry in fear if the mother or caregiver leaves them in unfamiliar places. No kana hadlok sila mabuwag sa ilahang mama or sa ilahang caregiver, labi na sa kanang unfamiliar nga place, like mga place nga wala pa nila naadtuan. So sa mga ingani nga place kani, like kanang first time pa mogawa sa babae ay sa bata, kinahanglan jud dili na to sila ibuwag kay mahadlok magud na sila good. Then kanang mahadlok na sila nga basin oroy na mukuha nila ingana ba. Then kanang ug mogawas pud ta or ato ilag ang bata is we should focus on them, no, dili ta mag duwa pud atua. Next is the social referencing. Infants begin to recognize the emotions of others and use this information when reacting to novel situations and people. For example, yaya ka sa bata, din kanang nakita sa bata nga mugot kaayo ka og dagway. So mo to kanang silbi ang iyang nakita is iya sang himuon nga example para maka-express siya sa iyahang emotions, like kanang maka-feel siya sadness, then kanang ang iyahang sadness nga nakita sa iyahang yaya is iya tong masuon, or kanang makita niyang mama nga sad, then makaila na siya og unsay emotions nga na feel sa iyang mama, kay nakahibaw naman siya og unsay naong sa sad face, kay nakakita naman siya sa iyang yaya nga na sad iyang yaya. Next is the toddlerhood years, 1 to 2 years old. Infants express emotions of shame or embarrassment or pride. Emotional understanding. Toddlers acquire language and are learning to verbally express their feelings. So diri na sila magkaton og tabi, then kanang og kanang sino ni og na sila ganahan i-express kay kanang ilan na itabi or dili baron ilang itabi nila through shouting or crying. In infancy, children largely rely on adults to help them regulate their emotional states. In toddlerhood, children begin to develop skills to regulate their emotions with the emergence of language, providing an important tool to assist in this process. Empathy appears in toddlerhood, requires them to read other emotional cues and take the perspective of another person. No? Ang empathy daw kay appear daw ni siya during toddlerhoods in which kanang makasabot sila og unsay na feel sa usa ka tawo. So, Erickson's psychosocial theory, trust versus mistrust, psychosocial crisis, trust versus mistrust, virtue, hope. Trust versus mistrust occurs to toddlers about 18 months of age. During this period, the child is developing trust to the one who gives him or her care. If the caregiver is consistent, caring, and nurturing, the child will develop trust. If these conditions aren't met, the child will develop mistrust, suspicion, and anxiety. Next is the autonomy versus shame and doubt. Psychosocial crisis. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. Virtue, will. Autonomy versus shame and doubt occurs 18 months of age up to 3 years. This is the stage where the child is trying to gain physical independence on his or her daily tasks like walking, eating, and more. This stage is driven by will, and if the child fails to do so, he or she develops shame and doubts against herself. Next is the summary of what toddlers and infants can do socio-emotionally. Domain, social and emotional development. Subdomain, emotional or the emotional development of infants. Standards 1. The child express basic emotions. 0 to 6 months. Cries in different ways to express different needs. Example, hungry, sleepy, and etc. Shows excitement or pleasure by moving arms, kicking, moving the entire body, and the face lighting up. Mapakita sa bata nga excited siya if kanang iyang i-wave iyang hands, kanang magsikat-sikat sa tiil, then kanang dili siya mahimutang bitaw, then ang face niya is always ra nag-smile. Next is the smiles or laughs in response to a pleasant experience. Example, caregiver singing to him or her. So kanang malingaw ang bata o labi na kanang kantahan siya, kanang magsayaw-sayaw kasi ang atubangan. Muna ang bata kanang sa kaning stage ay nga emotional development is ang pamagi sa ilang pag-response is through smiling or makatawa sila. Next is the shows fear and hesitation towards unfamiliar persons. So mo to mahadlok sila or magduha-duha sila o magduol pa sila sa kanang nga tao. 7 to 12 months has a favorite toy. Nagini sila paborito nga duwaan. Mostly 7 to 12 months nga mga infants or toddlers. 13 to 18 months. Smiles, laugh when happy or amused. Makatawag gini sila or kanang mo-smile or makatawa og happy na sila or na-amuse sila sa usa ka butang. Cries when sad, angry, or scared. Shows varying degrees or intensities of various emotions. Kanang diri nga stage is magpakita na or ipa-feel mo sa usa ka bata nga kini siya. Naglagot siya, gugutom siya, happy siya, Nga na. Standards 1.2, the child demonstrates ability to self-regulate feelings or emotions and follow schedules as well as rules and regulations. 0 to 6 months, stops crying almost immediately when need is met. So, naiubon nga parents nga pasagdaan ra nila ilahang baby nga maghilak kay mohilom ra man daw. So tinuod man sad ni nga kanang once maghilak ang baby niya wala ra nimo siya giunsta, maybe nagtantrums na siya, is imo jud na siyang pasagdaan kay imo na siyang tagdon or imong samukod mo samot mo na siya og kahilak. So better nga pasagda na lang jud kay mohilom ra man na sila ganahan. Eventually gets used to an irritating experience. Example, honking horns and calm down. 13 to 18 months. Able to stop an undesirable behavior or activity when instructed to do so. No, sa kaninga mga months, sa infants is kanang once ingnon sila og stop, silang gibuhat. Most of them is muhunog jud na sila. Kay mohonong jud na sila pero na jud uban dili jud sila mo pato. Next is can calm down or stop tantruming with the help of adults. Can follow simple rules. Sa katong giingon ako nga kanang moingon sila ay masobra lang kiyat ingon sila silang mothers nga kanang pagpuyo na hipusan na ng imong toys. Ang infants pud ani is musunod pud sila. Next is 19 to 24 months. Can wait on his or her turn. For example, maghugas sa siya yang kamot. Then napay gauna niya nga naghugas pa sa iyang kamot. Ang kaninga mga bata sa 19 to 12 to 24 months, mga almost 2 years, okay, makapaabot siya nga mahuman ang naguna pa niya. Next is tries to control his tears when in pain or scared. Kanang diri kay kanang makapugong na siya sa iyahang luha when kanang na siya na feel na pain or nahadlok siya. Next is shows ability to contain one's expression of anger or frustration in a public place when asked by parents or caregiver. Standards 1.3, the child comprehends and displays self-appraisal emotions. Example, shame, pride, and guilt. 7 to 12 months. Smiles or claps his hand when she or he displays a learned behavior. For example, close open. Kanang lip sa kaninga stage no kay kanang ang bata is ma-amaze na siya sa iyang kaugalingon ug makat-o na siya og iyaha like close open, kanang pinaka-common is close open jud. And once makahibaw na sila ana kay maka-feel sila og kanang ma-amuse sila sa ilahang kaugalingon. Next is 13 to 18 months. Recognizes and is able to label self-appraisal emotions such as shame, pride, guilt, envy, and jealousy. Next is will do something that gets him or her praise. For example, doing task properly or singing. So sa kanina ang ato yung makonclude ani is nagpapansin ang usa ka bata. Pero dili ni siya pagpapansin nila ha. Kanang ang baby ani good is kanang ganahan sila ma-praise. So maunang magbuhat sila og kanang mga buta nga ma-praise sila sa ilahang mother or sa ilahang caregiver. For example, motabang siya panilhig, kanang ang iyahang kinanan kay iyahang libyuhan. Nga nabitaw ang mga usik ayang pungiton. Ana. Next is 19 to 24 months. Shows interest in doing things that are his own creation. Say sorry when he or she has made a mistake or has hurt someone. Makatuon na siya ingon og sorry if kanang nakasa siya sa usa, if nakasa siya nimo, or kanang makasa siya sa usa ka butang. For example, nabuwak ang baso, na nahulog ang kutsara, na makahibaw na sila moingon og sorry. Subdomain, emotional, receptivity to others' emotion. Standards 1. The child is receptive to the different emotions of other people and shows empathy. 7 to 12 months. Can mimic people's facial expressions. Ilang makasuon na sila sa mga facial expressions sa tawo nga nasa ilang palibot. For example, siga-siga sa mata, magyambi-yambi sa baba, magdiwal-diwal sa dila. 13 to 18 months. Demonstrate appropriate or acceptable responses to other people's emotions. Example, does it laugh at someone who is crying? Kanang pakita siya diri og respeto. Especially nga kanang na imuhilak nga bata is kanang dili niya katawan, or naabri bata nga gikasab-an sa iyang mama, dili niya katawan. Next is 19 to 24 months. Identifies feelings in others. Maka-identify natin sila sa feeling sa other nga tao. Next is show respect for rights and properties. Example, asking permissions, do not deliberately destroys others' things. Subdomain, social, emerging sense of self. Standards 1. The child expresses knowledge of self and basic rules of people in his or her immediate environment. 0 to 6 months. Expresses own body. Example, observes hand and toes. Ma-express sila sa ilang own body. Like, mag-observe sila sa ilang kamot. Magsintanaw-tanaw nga. Kinsa kan ipagpumasan. Unsa kanino nga nung nihingani niya akong kamot. Anong nihingani niya akong tiil. Next is responsible to own name and turning to look or reaching to be picked up when called. So, diri nga part is, if tawgon sila sa ilang mama o sa caregiver, ang child is mo response na sila kay kailan naman siya sa iyang kaugalingon, and magmanya bitaw, magpakugos siya sa iyang mama or di magpakugos sa iyang papa, like that. Mo show og kaklingi ang sa kabata. Next is 7 to 12 months. Identify self in the mirror or photograph via patting or pointing his or her image. So, sa kini nga stage sa social or emerging sense of self sa ka-infant is maka-identify na siya nga siya na ang nasa picture, like iyang tudluon or mukatawa siya, o dili ma-amaze siya nga magtan-aw sa iyang kaugalingon. Next is 13 to 18 months. Identifies what part of his or her body hurts by pointing to this. If pagbata niya nga dili siya makatulog asa ang sakit, sa kaning development sa usa ka bata nga 30 to 18 months is maka-identify na siya nga asa ang sakit, then makahibaw na ang parents or ang mother ug unsay sakit sa usa ka bata, kay kahibaw naman siya asa ang sakit. For example, yung tudluon nga mo siya nga kanang pangutanan siya sa iyang mother nga asa ang sakit, then iya din tudlo na iyang tiil or something, or sa bisan asa nga sakit niya. Then calls family members by their nickname or role name. For example, kuya, mama, papa, ate. Ask what he or she wants without hesitation. Sa diri nga stage sa kabata, ug na siya pangayoon is dili siya magduha-duha og pangayo. Next is 19 to 24 months. Identify self by first and last name. Maka-identify na siya or makaila na siya sa iyahang kaugalingon, like paisayton siya sa what is your name, my name is Jolene C. Canyo, ano ba nang silbi makaila na siya sa iyahang kaugalingon or makaila na siya sa iyahang pangan. Identifies what part of his or her body hurts by naming this. Subdomain social, forming attachments. Standards 1. The child forms healthy attachments to primary caregivers and other significant adults and children in his or her life. 0 to 6 months. Shows distress. Example, inability to eat or sleep or crying if the primary caregiver is not available. So diri nga social or forming attachment sa usa ka infants is kanang mag-show siya og distress kung ang primary caregiver is kanang wala niya for like iyang mother wala kanang dili na siya mukaon or magsige og hilak magpangita man siya sa iyang primary caregiver og mautoy na nag-anad niya, for example may magpakaon niya o magpatulog. Next is 13 to 18 months. Is affectionate towards primary caregivers and other family members. Is comfortable in the company of strangers if primary caregiver is present. Comfortable ra sila sa kanang sa mga bago pa nila kaila if naa ang caregiver nag-uban niya. Shows or share foods, books, and toys with other children. Enjoys playing regularly with significant adults and children. For 19 to 24 months, plays with toys by himself. Duwa ra siya og iyaha. Smiles and responds to the facial expressions of other children. And mo smile na siya as a response sa other nga children. Ayang masugatan or ang bag-o niya ma-encounter. Shows preference for some children and interacts more with them. For subdomain social, interaction with others. Standards 1. The child has positive relations and interactions with adults. 0 to 6 months will look at adults' faces and make eye contact. Sa kaning development sa usa ka infants is tutukan ka sa bata kanang murag iyang sag-uhon imuhang now like ingana. Then plays peekaboo interactively with others. 7 to 12 months hugs, pats, kisses familiar persons. For 13 to 18 months friendly with strangers but initially may show slight anxiety or shyness. Willingly does what familiar adults ask him or her to do. Nang willing siya mabuhat og unsay ipabuhat sa usa ka tawo. Like kanang imo siyang ingon nga kanang please get some water. Then ang infant sad ani nga stage is magkuha pud siya og water. Next is appropriately uses cultural gestures of greeting without prompting. For example, bless, mano, or kiss. Mo-show na sila diri og respect like mo bless or mo kiss. Subdomain social, pakikiramdam or sensitivity. Standards 1. The child takes social cues for the environment and adjusts his behavior accordingly. 0 to 6 months is shy or more quiet with strangers. 0 to 6 months babies is most of them kay mauwaw. Then kuan ra kay sila hilom. Maghilom-hilom ra sila unlike nga naa silang balay nga magsigi og kiat makigduwa jud. Then refers to caregivers for clues about novel situations, people, or objects. For 13 to 18 months, usually quiets down or steps when caregiver shushes him or her. Kanang aman siya. Takes notice when there is a sudden change in mood of caregiver or people around him or her. for 19 to 24 months. If she or he needs something, can wait quietly as told until caregiver is able to attend to him. No, og naa siya kinahanglan, then kanang ingnon siya sa iyahang yaya nga wait lang sa maka-wait jud sa kaning development sa usa ka bata is maka-wait siya until nga maasikaso siya sa iyahang caregiver. Subdomain for social appreciating diversities. Standards 1. The child recognizes and respects similarities and differences in people, language, and culture. 19 to 24 months. Able to differentiate between boy or girl. Treats house help or those less fortunate with respect. Yang kamauna sila mo respeto sa ilang isikataw de nga pangidaron. So nanata sa milestones of physical, cognitive, and socio-emotional development of infants and toddlers. The socio-emotional development of infants and toddlers is from intra and interpersonal relations. Interpersonal relation is the development of self, emotion, and gender identity, while interpersonal relation has something to do with the development of attachments, friendship, and peer relations. So, for the first year, the milestones is from the start, babies eagerly explore their world, and that includes themselves and other people. For birth to 3 months, babies get a long time of getting to know their own bodies. They suck their own fingers, ilang sup-sup ilang kamot. Observe their own hands. Ilang i-observe ilang kamot sa katong giingon na porma ni nga kamot, giun sa ni pagporma. Then look at the place in the body what is being touched. Tanaw nila ilahang body ug kanang asa ang hikapan. Then begin to realize she is a separate person from others and learn how body arms are being attached. Next, infants are interested in other people and learn to recognize primary caregivers. Most infants can be comforted by a familiar adult, respond positively with touch, interact best when in an alert state or in active and attentive state. Smile and show pleasure in response to social stimulation. For 3 months to 6 months, babies are more likely to initiate social interaction. They begin to play peekaboo, pay attention to owning, smile spontaneously, laugh aloud. Magsige na sila katawa. Magduwa-duwa og peekaboo, pay attention to owning, like og tagon sila, maminaw sila, smile spontaneously. Next is 6 months to 9 months. Babies show a wider emotional range and stronger preferences for familiar people. Most can express several clearly differentiated emotions, distinguish friends from strangers, no? Maka-identify na sila og friend ba na nila or dili. Then responds actively to language and gestures. Show displeasure at the loss of a toy. For 9 months to 12 months, as they near age 1, imitation and self-regulation gain importance. Most babies can feed themselves finger foods. Kibaon na sila mohongit. Hold a cup with 2 hands and drink with assistance. Kibaon na sila mo gunit og baso once mainom sila pa. Kailangan jud ato silang i-assist. Then hold out and legs while being dressed. Mimic simple actions, magsuon-suon, suon-on na imuhang lihok. Show anxiety when separated from primary caregiver. Next is from 1 year to 2 years. Child become more aware of themselves and their ability to make things happen. They express a wider range of emotions and are more likely to initiate interaction with other people. At this stage, children are able to recognize themselves in pictures or the mirrors and smile or make faces at themselves. Katong giingon nga, maka-identify sila o makita sila picture nila sa ka photo album is kanang makayos lang ako ni, then o magatubang po sila sa mirror is mag-smile sila. Then show intense feelings for parents and show affection for other familiar people. Play by themselves and initiate their own play. Kani kay magduwa-duwa sila og ilaha niya kanang kaya bitong magsuon-suon sila og superhero. For example, si Batman kuan din na sila, maghimo din na sila kapa-kapa. Then maglupad-lupad din na sila nga mura og si Superman. Next is express negative feelings. Like maka-express na sila, mag-start na sa diri og express kanang naglagot sila, gisapot sila. Then show pride and pleasure to a new accomplishments. Imitates adult behaviors in play. Begin to be helpful. So diri na mo sugod ug matinabangon ang sakabata. Then, 2 years to 3 years, children begin to express themselves as more powerful, creative doers. They explore everything, show a stronger sense of self, and expand the range of self-help skills. Self-regulation is a big challenge. 2 years old are more likely to show awareness of gender identity, indicating toileting needs, help to dress and undress themselves, kay mo na sila mag-ilis, and kay mo na po siya mahubo sa ilang sanina. Be assertive about their preferences and says no to adult requests. Kay mo na sila diri mo reklamo once nasuguon sila. Then begin self-evaluation and develop notions of themselves as good, bad, attractive, or etc. Then show awareness of their own feelings and those of others. Experience rapid mood shift and show increased fearfulness. And that's all. So here are the references. Module 14, Socio-Emotional Development of Infants and Toddlers. Is Before we end this discussion, let me remind you that a happy baby has its shining eyes. It walks open-hearted into the world and spreads magic, by Sigrid Leo. So, and that's all. Thank you for listening, and thank you. Thank you, and God bless you all. I hope you learned.